Well, good afternoon, folks. Thank you all for being here. This is America's worst kept secret, what I'm about to announce. But we've been in contact with the county health officials. We had a superintendent's meeting yesterday. They kind of let us know kind of what they were thinking. They've been doing a lot of research about the state of affairs of where we are. Things are improving significantly in Dallas County. However, they told us that all the medical professionals were unanimous in their recommendation that there should be no in-person learning on September the 8th. So based upon that recommendation, and they've put out a release, I have the authority as the superintendent of schools without board approval to have virtual learning for the first 4 weeks of school. And so that is the decision that my team has recommended to me and that I am officially making. Not everybody's going to be happy with that decision, but it is what it is, and it's the context that we're in. We do not have any medical personnel on staff. We have to count on the county and their medical professionals to give us recommendations. Now, en español les quiero decir que hemos trabajado con el condado, hemos trabajado con los médicos que trabajan con ellos y ellos nos han recomendaron que no tengamos escuela en persona comenzando en septiembre. Lo que vamos a hacer es por 4 semanas vamos a tener escuela virtual y vamos a ver qué pasa en ese momento. So we will continue to have virtual school, first 4 weeks of school. This can alleviate the pressure with our staff members. We now can plan forward. We won't be having in-person school to the earliest in October. Now, what happens after that? Well, our school board decides about the next 20 days. And we have to have something in front of them in mid-September for them to rule at the night meeting in September if we're going to extend that through October. So this issue is not going away. We're making an announcement today, but in 2 weeks we're going to be revisiting it about where we go in the future. Now, there are some other details that are in the order that you've probably read that are important to consider as well. Because of a lot of pressure that we've been getting and a lot of the rest of the Dallas County schools have been doing about training for weight training and training for our athletes, I had put out an order that we could start working on Monday the 24th. This order is very specific. It does not recommend that we have any kind of interscholastic opportunities together. Every district is different. And what Highland Park does in Dallas County and what Sunnyvale does in Dallas County and what Duncanville does, it's up to them and their context. But by my reading of this order, it would be, in our opinion, for us, it would be disingenuous to say you can't come to school, but it's okay for you to come for practice. And so right now, that's our decision, that's my decision, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for that, but I cannot justify making a different decision at this point. So that's really all that I have. I didn't have a lot because it's very clear. I'll be glad to entertain your questions for the next few minutes. Yes, sir.
Dr. Hinojosa, can you talk about what the impact will be of the extracurricular? Does it completely wipe out fall activities? What is the impact?
Great question. What does the impact have? What it impact has is it puts our students at a disadvantage. Right now, there are no football games scheduled until the end of September. So if our students don't come in for basic weight training and exercising and getting their bodies in condition on August the 24th, then it puts them behind because I think others will. Now, how long will it take? Our coaches are phenomenal. It may take them a couple of weeks. We haven't won any state championships in football, we do want to be cognizant of the safety of our students when they start competing, but there's still a lot of debate about whether we'll even have football. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 have canceled. Others have announced they're slowing down. So we'll just have to monitor that, and we'll decide that in 2 weeks. But it does But I've had conversations with other superintendents in the county, and some of those have won state in football, and they're very concerned, and they've decided, not all of them, but a couple of them have decided to go along with us and kind of not have those workouts until it's determined to be safe.
Just some clarification
Yes.
on that, Dr. Hinojosa. If virtual school for 4 weeks starting September 8th essentially eliminates practice for football or any other extracurricular activities, frankly, do you have any of those sporting activities based on the current schedule? Can you have any of those games or those practices based on your now current schedule that you just described?
Well, it's very complicated because we have 6A schools and we have 3A schools, and they're all in the same zip code. And we have a UIL order that 6A and 5A can't participate in anything, but 4A and 3A can. Well, we have students that at Madison and Lincoln and places like that they could be allowed to participate like Sunnyvale does. But you're correct, this casts significant doubt on it. And I think the UIO will continue to rule, but they've also said now you can televise your football games because you can televise them live. So that gives me the expectation that, you know, in Muleshoe, Texas, and in Paducah, Texas, they're going to be playing football, but it's very difficult in Dallas County for that to occur. So we'll just have to monitor that. I'm sure there'll be future announcements about the future of sports, and we'll continue to work on that. Yes, sir.
What would your level of confidence be that in 4 weeks from the start of the year that things could be relatively back to a level where you could bring students back into class? And have you thought long-term about maybe just so we have a longer-term step plan, maybe we just need to extend virtual for a couple months or the semester?
Well, great question. I do not want to do what LA has done and say we're not having in-person school for the whole year. We need to see our students. We haven't seen our students since March. There's trauma-induced care. We've heard about, you know, other districts talking about students with suicidal thoughts because they haven't seen their friends. So we'd like to hold on. What we'd like to do is go month to month because if the county judge has said things have improved, but they are putting together a chart that has red, orange, yellow, and green. If we get to the green zone, yes, we could possibly have school in a month and a half. But until we get directions from them, we're going to kind of hold off. Right now, we're definitely in the red zone. And even though things are significantly better, there's not one indicator that says it's okay for us to bring students in person.
Wayne Carter, and then we're gonna go right here.
Okay, Wayne?
Dr. Hinojosa, last week you told us we couldn't do this without the teachers. On the day the teachers were demonstrating outside of the building on Samuel. And the teachers are asking you to go to the governor, to go to the state, to lobby to have more control to be able to push this back. You said, talk to me again in a week. So here we are. Have you gotten anywhere with that?
Wayne, you need to quit remembering these things I tell you. My answer to that is no, I'm not ready to do that. Let me tell you why. I know what our teachers have said, but also in our conversations with the other superintendents yesterday and today, we had a 9 o'clock conference call where all the superintendents minus one were on this conference call. What I heard loud and clear from them is that some of them have started virtually, and their teachers were very excited to be back in school. They're very excited to work with each other. They haven't seen each other since March. At least 4 of the superintendents who've already started said that to me. So that tells me we're hearing a lot of issues from teacher organizations. But when I hear from superintendents that are hearing from their teachers that they're so glad to be back at work, I'm not ready to go lobby the governor. I want to wait and see how our teachers feel when they do have the opportunity to come back and work with each other. Yes, sir. Una pregunta aquí.
Si con esa decisión que acaba de tomar, sabe que hay muchas familias en el distrito que dependen de los alimentos que se entregan en la escuela. ¿Cómo va a ser el plan entonces? ¿Va a seguir todo igual en la entrega de alimentos? ¿Cómo va a ser con este nuevo comienzo?
Sí, la pregunta es que qué vamos a hacer con el alimento para los estudiantes. Estamos trabajando con los federales porque en este asunto tenemos que trabajar con el Departamento de Agriculture en los Estados Unidos. Y ellos no han decidido lo que van a hacer. Y yo tuve una llamada esta mañana con los superintendentes de todo el país y ese asunto hablamos hoy. En este momento tenemos el permiso de tener la comida así como lo tenemos hasta septiembre. Pero después de septiembre dependemos de los federales que nos digan si lo vamos a seguir haciendo. The question was about food service. Right now, in front of the feds, there's a big debate about, with the Department of Agriculture, we have permission up to September 1 to continue our food delivery service. After September 1, everything is a quagmire up in D.C. And of course, the Department of Agriculture can't rule until the Senate and the House, they all clear up their messes about what's going to happen next.
Sí, acá con Telemundo, ¿qué apoyo van a recibir los padres que estaban planificando la parte de la tecnología? Que quizás no estaban preparados porque ya tenían planificado enviar a los estudiantes a la escuela. Y la otra pregunta es, ¿qué es lo que tienen que ver los doctores que están haciendo estas recomendaciones para que ustedes se sientan cómodos para volver a los salones de clase?
Dos preguntas. ¿Qué es lo que estamos haciendo para la tecnología, las computadoras de los estudiantes? Si les hay falta a los estudiantes, que se comuniquen con los maestros y los directores de las escuelas. En este momento estamos distribuyendo las computadoras y los hotspots cada día en todas las escuelas y si se avisen con ellos. Y la otra pregunta es, ¿qué metros están usando los médicos? Ellos tienen como 8 cosas que ellos se fijan en las muertes, los que están en el hospital, los que tienen la COVID-19, y ellos lo están estudiando y ponen junto una página para poder avisarnos a nosotros qué es lo que tenemos que hacer. Yeah.
Señor Hinojosa, también sabemos que hay muchos maestros que no son tan ágiles para la tecnología. Tenemos muchos maestros que se han comunicado con nosotros en donde nos dicen que los otros distritos que ya empezaron de manera virtual no los están apoyando para enseñarlos a cómo abrir, por ejemplo, un Zoom link o conectarse con sus estudiantes o mandar un correo a los padres de familia. ¿Qué está haciendo el distrito de Dallas para preparar a esos maestros que tal vez no tengan la capacidad de trabajar con la tecnología y los padres de familia también que tal vez no pueden ayudar al niño de primer grado en la tecnología?
Bueno, lo que estamos haciendo en el mes de junio, trabajamos con los maestros a ver cómo se trabaja el Zoom en la casa, cómo se trabaja el Power School en la casa. Pero en este momento estamos trabajando con los maestros cómo se enseña la ciencia en esa manera. Y si los padres, nosotros queremos que los padres nos avisen si hay un problema y nosotros vamos a trabajar con las escuelas para mejorar ese asunto. Yes.
David and then Corbett.
Okay.
All ready for virtual learning, and what flexibility do teachers have to teach from home virtually?
Great question. We are getting much more prepared for virtual learning. It's not what you saw in the spring. We expect a lot more in the fall. We've done a lot to train our teachers on Zoom and Google Classroom and those kinds of things. Now we're teaching them the curriculum, how to teach science in that context, how we teach reading. So we're doing a lot of training with the teachers, and we'll be ready. This gives us time to September the 8th to be ready to deliver on that promise. And what we're going to do in the future, we're going to continue to work. We have glitches. Now, as far as this also buys us some more time for the teachers, because if they still feel uncomfortable, we're going to have them report by a certain date. But now that date is moved back. And I think it's like September the 15th or 17th when they have to report. And if they can still then now apply for an alternate work assignment up until that time. And they have to let us know. So this buys us some more time with the teachers that are uncomfortable. But let me reiterate, everyone, the superintendents that spoke up today said that their teachers are glad to be back at work, and I want to see how our teachers feel about that.
Corbett and then Steve.
Clarification on this issue. Your employees, these staffers at these schools, will they be teaching virtually from their schools, or are they allowed to teach from home?
2 districts are making them do it from schools. We're going to let them teach from home up until September the 17th. At that point, we're going to expect them to come to work. So we're going to buy some more time, but there's a couple of districts that are making them do that, and they said they have had no problems. They've had no teachers opt out to teach from home. Corbett?
What does your teacher in-service look like, and when is central office staff expected to work?
Our teacher in service, we have new teacher orientation. I believe it starts tomorrow. So we're getting our new teachers on board, and then our other teachers are working individually with their principals. And so that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks. Dr. Lear, the second question was what, Corbett? Central staff, yes. What is our issue for central staff?
And so central staff is following the same conditions that we currently have.
Okay, so our central office has the same conditions. We have approximately about 10% of our employees showing up here, but they'll also get a little bit of a pause because of this ruling.
Right next door to you, in this county, schools are essentially going back into those schools on the date you guys set, that the county set, September 8th. Is it, I'm a half a mile from a Richardson school and 3 doors next door, Dallas school. Is there anything at all here that's ironic about the fact that you're now going to delay going back to those schools based on the health recommendation that those other districts in this county have already received?
Yeah, everybody has to make their own decision. We cover all of Dallas, most of Dallas County. We have a significant portion of our students in southern Dallas. Richardson doesn't. They have their jurisdiction, and so I don't want to make an opinion for what their context is. But our situation is we cover most of the county, and we have to consider the cases wherever they are, and we have to make a different decision. Similarly, Highland Park, they're right in the middle, but they have different circumstances than what we have. And so they have to make the decisions that are in the best interest of their school district.
Doctor Hinojosa, hemos recibido llamadas de muchos padres de nuestros televidentes preocupados porque pues, las clases virtuales se abren a muchos peligros, ¿ok? Ya ha habido problemas de que se cuelan imágenes pornográficas en meetings virtuales. ¿Cómo asegura usted a los padres que ese salón virtual va a ser seguro para sus hijos y no van a haber imágenes definitivamente que ellos no quieren?
Bueno, nosotros tenemos muchas reglas y estamos trabajando con el Departamento de Technology para mejorar el equipaje que tenemos para que eso no suceda en las clases. She was talking about what protections do we have? We have a very strong IT department. It's probably the best I've ever had, and they're ensuring that we don't have people photobombing into Zoom and have inappropriate things. We have firewalls that it's a legitimate concern. It's something we have to really be on top of. As we get complaints, we need to pursue them.
¿Nos podría explicar en resumen el proceso de lo que viene con esta decisión? ¿Van a reevaluar? ¿La mesa directiva tiene que tomar ciertas decisiones, votar para que la gente entienda?
Sí, para que los padres de familia sepan, esta decisión es comenzando el 8 de septiembre hasta el 5 de octubre. En la mitad de septiembre vamos a juntarnos con la mesa directiva y si lo vamos a subir más tiempo, la mesa directiva tiene que votar en ese asunto.
We have Corbett real quick, and then we have one more here. So Corbett?
Other superintendents across the state have kind of said that they would be willing to go into legal action if the TEA doesn't loosen its, 4x4 or 4-and-4 ruling. If you get to the end of these 4 weeks and it looks like the pandemic is still there or potentially growing, are you willing to kind of put your hat in the ring and say that the Dallas ISD is willing to join that fight as well?
Yeah, obviously, I cannot sue anybody. I have to ask the board. Only the board can do that. But one of the things that we've been told, because when we started this thing, we were told that we would have to have in-person instruction in the month of August if we wanted any state funding. It went from that to, okay, how long do you need? And we were told, is 3 weeks enough? And we said, the pandemic doesn't have an expiration date on it. So they gave us 4. So we started with 4. Then we went back and said, we still don't have enough. And they said, okay, how about 4 more weeks of where your board could vote on that? And now it gives us 8. And then we said, well, there's not an expiration date on the pandemic. So then the commissioner said, well, if we get to that point and you still have an issue, then you can ask for another waiver. But we start at that, but I also ask the question, what happens if we get to those 8 weeks and my county says don't have instruction, and I say we're not having instruction, what money do we qualify? And I was told you qualify for no money, state or local money. If it gets to that point, I will recommend to my school board, because I've sued the state before many times on school finance. So if it gets to that point, I would make a recommendation to my school board that we also jump in on that lawsuit.
But you expect the TDA to change its rulings if things don't?
I do give them the respect. The commissioner listens to us, and just like we started with, we had to do this, and it went to, we got 8 weeks. So I do expect the commissioner and the governor to listen to our pleas if things don't improve. But County Judge Clay Jenkins will tell you, things are improving. People are wearing masks. Everybody in this room has a mask. So things are getting better. So the expectation is that we get a lot better over the next few weeks.
Before I get to my question, can you just say that in Spanish first, please? Can you explain that first in Spanish?
Sí, me preguntaron si nosotros estamos preparados a traer una suit contra el Estado, y nosotros esperamos que van a trabajar con nosotros, porque nos han ayudado en estos 2 meses, pero si no nos van a ayudar en noviembre, sí, esperamos que yo le pida a la mesa directiva que mandamos un suit contra el state, porque es muy necesario, porque si llegamos al mes de noviembre y el condado nos dice que no deben tener escuela, nosotros no vamos a tener escuela. Y si no tenemos escuela, no nos dan fondos. Se acaban los fondos ese día. En ese día sí espero que vamos a tener otra solución.
Mi pregunta era, para esos maestros que estaban manifestando que no están preparados para regresar a las clases presenciales, ahora que estamos empujando la fecha para entrar de nuevo a las clases, se está empujando para atrás, ¿qué le diría a esos maestros que aún siguen preocupados y que no quieren regresar a las aulas?
Bueno, lo que yo he platicado con superintendentes de todo el condado, ellos me han dicho que hay muchos de los maestros que ya están muy contentos de regresar a las escuelas, y les vamos a dar hasta el medio de septiembre que vengan, y si no pueden, si no quieren venir, nosotros esperamos que ellos vengan a enseñar a los estudiantes, y esperamos que vengan a trabajar con ellos.
We have David Goins.
Yeah.
Just a couple more and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Can you sum up your overall feeling about where the district is and what you're about to step into with this school year?
Yeah, this has been quite a year. I mean, we started this way back in October with a tornado, and what was different about that, it affected 4 schools, and everybody stepped up, and we had a solution, we had a road map, et cetera. Then we get to this pandemic, and when it first started, nobody knew what was going on, and then it just kept changing, and then the numbers were very small in March when we shut down. And those numbers are much higher now than they were in March. We've learned a lot during this time. And then we have the Black Lives Matter marches that occurred and the protests. So this has been like a year like no other year in my career. But yet, Dallas is resilient, we're strong, we've found a way to do this. We all have, education is the last industry to change. If you think about, you close your eyes 100 years ago, you think about education, everybody was in a 7-period day in a chemistry class in a high school. We're going to have to change. And now we're learning lessons as we're going through this thing. And so how do we deliver on the promise? So this has been a very eventful year, and like nothing else, and we have to learn from it.
Dr. Hinojosa, you say this is an action you can take as superintendent, but the suggestion that you have to now reevaluate if you go back into schools in October needs board approval? Just to clarify.
Yeah, it was very clear on that. For the first 20 days, as the superintendent, I have the authority. I don't have to go to the school board. And there's no change in the calendar. It's just how do we execute learning. After the first 20 days, I could still do that, but I have to have a majority of my board support that recommendation. And for us to make that happen for October, the board has to have an agenda item at the briefing in September, and then they vote at the night meeting in September if we're going to extend that. We have communicated with all of our board members about this. Most of them are very happy. A couple of them are not. So this is not going to be a slam dunk, whichever way it goes when we prepare for the next month.
But that next month is a phasing period, is it
It can be a phase-in period. It could certainly be a phase-in period. What that means is that we don't have to bring all the students back. Remember, we're giving our parents choices. And right now, 50% said they're willing to come into the schools. And so we can phase 25%, 50%, 75%. Obviously, we're never going to get 100%. I can promise you there are going to be some parents this year that are not going to come back to school at all. So throughout the whole year, there's going to be some parents learning virtually, some students learning virtually. There's no doubt in my mind about that at this point.
At a previous board meeting, your staff had asked the board when we first changed the calendar for more time because they just weren't ready for in-person learning. They said they could do it, but it wasn't where they wanted it to be. Where are you in chasing that ball, and where are you guys in terms of preparation for in-person?
We're very appreciative of the board that they gave us those 3 extra weeks because those have been very helpful. Our principals are meeting with the teachers on a regular basis, and now we've put together that training, and now we're going to be executing on that training. So we feel a lot better about the quality of our programming going into the next school year. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and stay tuned. We'll be talking again.